Today I'm welcoming Sonja in my space of talking about terms in the world of possibility management. And I had the pleasure to experience Sonja, to experience you as a space holder already for a group. And so I asked you if you like to talk a little bit about that term of space holding. What does it mean for yourself? What does it mean for you in the world of possibility management, and what are your experiences with it?
Hello, Anja, and thank you for this question. I feel a lot of fear about that because it's an unknown territory for me, as I perceive it from this place of I should know how to do it from the start. And what I am discovering, and that's why I said yes to this theme that you just proposed, is that I learn it while I'm doing it, without knowing it. And so I feel a lot of joy of being able to speak of it from the place that I am right now, which is I am learning how to do it. And so what I am discovering is that holding space is something that I really love to do. And it's this place of presence for whoever comes into the space. And I experience it as myself being a big mountain. And people can just unfold. The person who is there with me can unfold and just be in that moment. And while doing it, there's this connection. There's this big mountain that comes in, and then there's this connection where I am with the person where she is. Whether is it an emotion or a feeling or there are words, I'm just there. And once I realized this big story of I have to know it and I have to do something started to fall apart. And moving from one moment into the next with what is, and whatever presents itself, I will act upon it from what comes from the inside and from the unknown. And I don't have to have a script. I don't need a script. And so this is what I'm experiencing right now. And there are stories and emotional fears that come along. And so for me, part of my path is to deal with them as they show up. For example, right now I am dealing with this big question in regards to receiving money for space holding. And the possibility to have a distinction that I am conscious of this is an emotion. This comes from the past. This comes from somewhere in the past. This brings it's rich, and it allows me to move on, because at another point I would just stay with that and be stuck. So now I have a choice, and I have power, and I can act upon it and say, okay, I have this fear of receiving money. What is the story behind that? And the story is that I don't deserve it. And I with this distinction, I know that this is not from this moment. It is not a feeling, because it's something that's been with me for a long time, for my entire life. So the beauty of all this is now that I know other space holders in my team, in the team, with whom I can say, well, I have this emotion, can you hold space for me? And then my space holding can continue to unfold. And I can go on this path of delivering my non-material value and learning as I go. And this is the learning that I'm doing right now. And it's bringing me a lot of joy. And also this thing of having joy in experimenting. And it's not, well, I really need to have this right and to be perfect. There is joy of seeing what's not working and what's working, and then looking at what's not working, getting the feedback and the coaching. And okay, next time I'm going to try this. And all of a sudden, life is fun. And being able to hold space for other people in this context while learning and sensing the connection, it's a big joy for me, and I'm really happy to do that.
So you just said holding space in this context, and I'm curious if you experience yourself developing a soft skill through holding space in this context, so that you automatically become something like a space holder in everyday life with other people who are not in the PM context, including yourself, like becoming a space holder for yourself when you're alone.
Yes. What I see is that I have always been a space holder. And what happened is that all these emotions and all these stories and my survival strategies were blocking me from doing it consciously. And what is happening now with possibility management and the people that I'm meeting and connecting with is that I am consciously choosing to open up to the space holding in a conscious way and deal with whatever is there. Because my friends, for example, they have always called me when they need space holding. They want to be heard. They want to cry. Or someone in the street, they start talking with me and they just start telling me things that they would not normally tell other people. I was doing that and I was not aware of it. And now I can, it's this immense joy of using these tools to take care of myself and hold space for myself. Like you just asked, I am also learning to hold space for myself. When these big emotions come, instead of waiting for someone to save me, I am also experimenting and declaring a golden cube and hold space for myself and take on my beep book and start writing and be with myself while I am feeling feelings and emotions. And the difference for me is to move from the unconscious to the conscious using these tools, these distinctions that I'm now learning and experiencing with other people, holding space for myself, with the trainings, the videos that I watch. Everything just goes into this converging point where I'm having the possibility to expand and unfold.
Wow. What comes up is a kind of a visionary question now, is imagining a group of people where everybody has trained to become an own self space holder so well that I can take care of my emotions and what's ever coming up. Everybody does that too. What are we going to talk about? As I think most stuff that gets as a topic of conversation is stuff that is fueled by emotion. You know what I mean? Like if I get in touch with you, I tell you a story that is fueled by my emotions. I ask you a question which is fueled by emotions. And if am able to hold space for my own emotions, I don't need to express them and put them into words anymore. And you don't either. What are we going to talk about?
Well, what is it that you are experiencing in possibility management? All these people that are going through this are learning to do that, right? And for example, you have just created interviews to talk with people. So you are finding new things to talk about. And also the emotions, not from the stories, but as an incredible place of exploration. The difference is how they come into the context, how they come into conversation. I just share with you, for example, that I have these emotions in regards of receiving money while space holding. And they are here, they are present, not from that place of the low drama triangle, for example. And for me, there is not a point where it will just stop to happen, because I think that's a fantasy world. It will always happen. The difference is that the context and the people that I'm surrounding myself with will ask me a question. And they could say, well, my fear is telling me that you're having an emotion, or that you are reactive, and that creates a gap for me to look into that. And, oh, okay, I'm going to check this out. Thank you. That's the difference. It's not that it's going to disappear because I am human. Is that the context allows me to look into it differently and not stay there indefinitely. And this is why I like possibilities management so much. And because it's this never-ending source of exploration and questions and diving into transformation, and people wanting to do the same. And this is so exciting to do this as a team. And then with that energy that you just said, okay, what are we going to talk about? There's energy left to do different things, like create this space to interview people about this. And there's so much energy left from that. I just realized that I did the gremlin transformation process, the first part. And all of a sudden I realized, okay, if I'm not doing those things that my gremlin feeds on, what am I going to do? And then there's a lot of energy left. Where am I going to put that energy? And there's this big amount of creative energy, and I want to put it somewhere. What am I going to create? And I started holding space for a incomplete emotions. And I am creating my website, and I am holding space for each piece. And there are other things that want to come through. And this is possible because I learned from I learned that I have this shadow called, this part of me that has survival strategies that is called a gremlin. And now I have this distinction and I can do something about that. I have a choice. And it brings me so much joy to have all this energy back and have this possibility to do something about that.
Thank you.
And also for this space.
I heard you telling that you were always a space holder. I can relate to that. And I want to ask you, do you know from your past that feeling, I'm a great space holder. I seem to be a great space holder because people call me. And I would love to be a space holder for myself, but I would love to have a mirror. Like I would like to have an identical twin to hold space for me as I'm obviously able to hold space for others. This desperate search for somebody who just does it the way you do it because you realize that's exactly what I need too. Do you know that feeling?
Yes, and not in that perspective of someone identical to me. It was more, I had this moment where I was having big emotions, and I experienced this throughout my life, where people around me could not deal with that, were not able to hold space for that. And their survival strategy was for me to okay, you have to get over that and don't feel that it has been a long time, things like this. And the last time I felt this was like 3 years ago, and I was just crying in the shower, feeling this big empty void inside. And I was just thinking, I want to do this for other people, because I want to be this space where people are safe to experience big things, whatever that is. And looking into it with this lack of, where are the people that hold space? Where are the people that are able to see this happening? And they just don't run away with fear, emotional fear. And so I totally relate to that, in that sense of, I wish I had someone to hold space for me like this. Now I can say that I found that in this context with the people that I'm meeting, and they are not afraid of that. They are just there in presence. So I'm really glad about that. And there was this moment of, this is not okay. This is not okay to not have someone who is able to see all these things, the darkness, the shadow, everything, and be turned away.
Yes, thank you. So the main thing in space holding for the one whose space is held is really to be seen in the present moment with all the suffering, all the joy, all the despair, everything that's there right now. And to not be sent away or abandoned or left alone with it.
What I am, from my experience, when I experienced someone holding space for myself, the most important thing was to be heard and to be allowed to feel whatever would come up, without any judgment or shutting down. This was the most important thing for me. And I use my experience while holding space. And this is what I want to do for others. And then if something different is needed, I'll do that. But what I want to do is to be there and just let it all come out, and for it to be safe to come out. And I can see that a big part of space holding is to listen, to just listen and be there, listening. It's not just be there silent. It's to actually be connected with the person that is in front of me and hear her and see her pain and see everything that's actually see. And with seeing, not go, oh no, I don't know. Stay there and see whatever that is. And this creates magic. This creates a healing space. And then the rest unfolds. And this is what I'm experimenting with.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Anja. Thank you so much.